Hello everyone. Once again, this is Mel Balsamo, your presenter for today's webinar for the InfoPath Beauty Spa, and this is your part 2. So we start with the webinar goals. Again, we're always here just to help enrich your InfoPath knowledge, and we'll try to make this quicker than the last part, in part 1. It took us almost 1 hour, I know, and it's like it's not enough because at the end there were a lot of questions that came in. But thanks for your participation there. This time we'll make it short and sweet. We'll try to at least. So yeah, we're real humans here. We commit mistakes, so please bear with us. And thanks for your patience. All right, let's proceed to the Services tab. And by the way, you're looking at an InfoPath form right now, and we thought to be a little different this time than your usual PowerPoint presentation. This is, again, an InfoPath form. Before I start, I'd like to hand off the mic to Alyssa to talk about our services. Alyssa?
Just wanted to let you know a little bit about what Qdabra has to offer besides our weekly webinars. We have a great community, InfoPathDev.com. You may have heard of it. This is a free support forum, and we guarantee a 90% response rate to posted questions. We also have other learning materials such as blogs, product information downloads on that site as well. We also offer pay-as-you-go support for more urgent blocking issues. So if you don't have time to wait for the forum, we offer that support as well. We take on consulting work, so if you have a project that you need assistance with, feel free to give Qdabra a call. Along with our services, we also have tools and templates to help you jumpstart your projects, and we have great web services as well, such as Qdabra's DBXL. We offer training courses for different levels of experience, and they're offered both online and in person, so whichever one is more convenient for you, and I'll talk about those a little bit later.
Thank you. All right, then let's get started then. Start with the key takeaways. Okay, we want to use tabs instead of views. Like what you're seeing right now, we're using tabs, right? And we're not using multiple views in this form, right? This is only one view. So you can either use a horizontal tabs, you can use horizontal tabs like these, or the vertical tabs like what I've shown you last 2 weeks ago. And I advise that we recommend that you make it data-driven, and I'm going to show this to you in a while, how you're going to make it data-driven. We're also going to talk about mobile views, how you can create an optimized view for your mobile viewers, and some pros and cons comparing the SharePoint or InfoPath default mobile functionalities versus the customized ones. Basically, what you're going to design yourself. Yeah, and we'll talk more about that later. And some history section there, or tracking. You'd want to keep track of previous versions of your form. So we'll demo that in a while too. And here are our techniques. Again, use tabs, not views. Why? If you have multiple views in your form, for example, you have like 3 views and you want them to all look the same, right? So you make an edit here, and view 1, you're going to edit view 2 the same way, right? And you're going to do the same for all your other views. So it's too much work if you have a lot. So again, let's work to change if you only have 1 view and you're using tabs. And the key to do that is to use hide and show sections and some logic in there that would display which section you want to display. And also, it's faster to render in the browser if your form doesn't have too much views. If you notice, if you're using a browser form and you're switching from one view to another, it takes a little time. Like it has some delays. Sometimes it has delays. But if you're just using, if everything is just in one view and you switch from section to section, you're just basically hiding and showing. It's going to render faster. I guess I can show you that now. this is the form in the designer. Okay, and here you can see all the slides, quote unquote. All right, so again, this is just one view, displays all those sections. You go to page design, just only got one. And how do I get to like display the current focus, right? You click on this section, and there is a rule here. It's a conditional formatting that will hide it if the current tab is not equal to 4. So what is that current tab and what is 4? You can see this is a secondary data source. It's just an XML file, and this is our XML file right here. So there's my current tab 1 that has my tab 1 label, and this gets set to true if I want to display it. And by default, I just want to show the welcome page, right? And the rest is going to be false because I don't want to display them. And these are, again, your labels, and this is going to be the ID. So let's go back to the designer here. Again, if my current tab is not equal to 4, then hide this. So if my current tab is not equal to that, let's see, number 4, to my techniques one, then don't show it. So, and you can look here under data connections that it's just one pointing to that view info. Actually, I think I updated that just recently, so let me just reattach it here in my resource files. So if you can see here, we're still following the best practices. Not much resource files in here, just my back and next images and my other background image there, and just the few rules and the XML file. Okay, we got a problem. Let's just not do that. All right, so
Mel, do you want to show them also how to edit that data file? In other words, that
sure.
you want to show them the view info, because we're using this data-driven technique for those people who may have seen this before. We did this. I did a demo back in February and showed this, but this data file you can create from InfoPath. This is the beauty of having XML as your resource files. Is you just go in, create a new form from InfoPath, and then you can create this. Essentially, the data is going to fit in your views, your view tabs. And so what Mel is going to show in a second here is the form that we use to create this default data. You don't have to type in the XML like this yourself. You're going to use InfoPath to generate it.
Now, let me just attach that in here one last time. Okay, very good. All right, so yeah, as Patrick mentioned, you can configure that viewinfo.xml using InfoPath without having to type in everything manually in Notepad. So you just go to open InfoPath Designer, just go to New, and you'd want your new template to come from an XML or schema design form. And you'd browse to your XML file. This is it. Click Next and say no because we don't want to add another. And just say yes to this confirmation message. And here we got our schema, our data source, and we just drag this little guy here as a repeating table. It will already have everything in your XML file basically, and we preview this. This is the content of that. So you can just insert new stuff here. For example, goodbye. You want a goodbye page, right? And you want it to set it false, and it's going to be ID 11th, right? And you can change things here too. Okay. So when you're done editing that, this is going to be your configuration file, right? So you just go there to File and Save or Save As. Save it as an XML and reattach it in your form template. Okay. And going back here.
Yeah, just one more comment here, Mel. And this is the best practice here is to always use a config data source so that it's easy for you to change the way your form looks on the fly without having to republish. The benefit of that technique is that you can change the data, the tabs in this case, without having to republish your form. And now we're attaching the XML as a resource, which means you do have to republish it. But the other thing you can do is you can attach it as a link, and just change it, and then it will load it on the fly. And I've gone over that in the past. Thanks, Mel.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's that for tabs. You should start using tabs now, right? And I guess we move to mobile views. This is interesting for me. I learned this mobile stuff just today and found out some pros and cons, you know, and I tried it myself. So I recommend, again, don't use SharePoint or InfoPath's default functionalities because it has a lot of limit. You know, what are the limits? Less controls, like you're not allowed to even add a section. So if you want to display a group in a section, you're going to get a design checker error that sections are not allowed. So how ridiculous is that, right? Picture controls are not supported as expected. Repeating stuff don't work, you know, things like that. Fixed width, I'm going to show you how that fixed width looks like. It's really ugly. So there's you're going to have a fixed width and an ugly look if you follow the default. And one major thing, it needs to be admin approved. Yeah, and then the stock links don't work. Like if you open the library and there are links to existing documents, if you click on that link, it will not work. You're going to get an error, and you're going to see that in a little bit. So you need to create a page, a SharePoint page actually, and add your links in there for people to click on when they want to view existing forms or even open new forms. And custom, there is apparently no limit. So let's do that, and let's show you how to do that. We first, of course, we first need to open the template. And this is so one.
Mel, can you show them the default behavior
so with
first?
This custom,
Sorry, Mel, to interrupt, but I think it makes sense to show the default behavior first so they can visualize how lame it is with the default stuff before you show them the cool stuff.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Thanks.
So I'm trying to connect to my iPhone here. This is my iPhone. Hopefully this renders quick for you guys. So these are the links. Okay, look at that link. That's going to be a link to one of my previously submitted forms. Okay, it's a long link, so you're going to configure a page with these guys, and this is a link to the browser. Yeah, I just sent myself these as reference. So I'll switch to Safari. So this is the ugly look I was pertaining to. This is the default. So I designed my form like this. I was hoping that this is going to be my mobile view. I wanted it to look exactly like this, right? But then when I tried to configure the library to display nicely in a mobile device, I admin approved, I did all that just to find out when I accessed the link, the mobile link, I got this. So if you'll notice that the repeating section down here only shows the date. And if I click like here, I'm trying to click on one, it's going to take me to that item. See, it shows me the rest of the details. And just go back, click OK. You know, it's not really like user friendly. We talked about user experience 2 weeks ago. So this is not what we want, right? So that's the default. And if you click close here, if I close here, it's going to take me back to the library in a mobile view still. But if I click on that, and that's the form that I just opened. If I open this now using that link, I'm going to get an error. Look at that error. It just says that unsupported relative URL. Yeah, I need to use an absolute path or something like that. So that's why we got the links, the correct links. You need to configure that in a page. Yeah. So next, Patrick, do we want to show the...
Let's make it look good.
Custom?
Let's show the good stuff. Because it's easy, right?
Right. So again, this right here, I tried to make it nice, but I'm still not happy with it. Look at that X buttons compared to what I have here on the left in my designer. And look at my add button there. Yeah, so I made this because, again, I had a limit. I wasn't able to use a picture button in that mobile enabled version. And let's show you that mobile enabled version and how you can actually make it mobile enabled. If you go to File, Form Options, there is a checkbox right here. It's mobile devices, enable rendering. And if you check that, if you go now to Compatibility, it's going to limit itself to just a mobile device form. Unlike before, you have an option to make it on InfoPath 2007 or 2010 or web browser form, you know. And if you look at your controls here, got just limited controls, just those.
So, but to be clear, Mel, this is what we don't want to do, right? To be clear, we're showing people here's what this a feature, and it's confusing because it's not what you want to do, right?
Yes, right.
So can we show them what we want to do? What's the right way to do this?
Yes. So here's your custom. This is how we want to do it. We want to do it the usual way. So no other configurations, no other special stuff. It's still going to be a web browser form. It can be an InfoPath 2010 or 2007 or whatnot. Let's go back here. So of course I don't have that option anymore. Don't know where I found that before. Yeah, I don't have that option anymore, the mobile device. And you have your usual controls here. You've got everything, again, no limit. So that's why, and you can even use key rules. You can use code, right? I don't know, I haven't tested if code works with mobile enabled forms, but I don't know. So this one right here, it actually allows you to delete this row of table instead of using the default widgets. And let's actually show that working in the iPhone now. Let's see. Switch it to the more. This is what we want. So again, this is the normal link to the library. If you open a new form, or if you let's just try to render this again. I think I have to reload it. Just open the link again. That's why I have this email handy. So this link is the same as the link as when you go to Internet Explorer and click Add Document or click on an existing form, right? And people are just gonna access that link in their mobile device. So again, you just want to customize your form, set the width to the usual mobile width, right? And align your controls vertically. Just design away, and basically that's what I meant with design away. You can do all the cool stuff that you want to do, and let's just click to the other view I created here, the one that uses key rules to insert the widgets. Patrick, did you want me to show them how hard it is to delete a row and add a row using the stock?
Well, yeah, just let's switch back to the other view for a second. I keep this open. I'll make a comment, and I think we also want to show them where to set the width too, but. The reason why we add these buttons is because a lot of us, we have a small phone, right? iPhone, whatever, and we've got big fingers. So typically it's really hard to click on these default widgets, the blue widgets that you see with the repeating sections. We got fat fingers. I got big fingers, right? They're fat. And I have a hard time clicking on that widget that you see here, that add expense item. And it's even harder to remove them because it's kind of off to the left there. It's like, but Mel can do it because she's got really dainty fingers, right? But in my case, I've got a hard time. So Mel created this view for me. Mel, you want to show them the view for the fat finger folks?
Okay.
And of course, you get a stylus, no problem. But a lot of times, you're driving, you got traffic and all that stuff, and you're trying to do this when you're driving. I'm just kidding. But you have a hard time doing it because you're driving. So we had these buttons here that make it really easy to remove and add new sections. And these buttons are actually good practice even if you're not doing mobile. If you're just doing browser-based forms, you want to have people add and remove repeating items. The buttons make it really easy. And this all works just fine in the iPhone, as you can see. Mel, why don't you click on that plus sign there, just to show them that we can add stuff. Is it working? Did you get it working, or do you have a bug there?
Delete is working.
Okay, so we still got a bug there, but it's easy to add. We can debug this in a second here when we're answering questions. And then can you show them real quick where to do the set width to? If you go back to the designer.
Designer, right. So I just basically added a table here. So for example, if this view is empty, let's just actually create a new view. Okay, and I'll delete everything. You know me, I delete everything when I design forms. So you just go to insert and add a custom table, and it's where you set your width. So an iPhone I know has a default width of 320. Say OK, and you probably want to remove the cell paddings too.
Now the other place to add the width, Mel, is on the properties there for the view.
Yeah.
What's the difference between that and the table? If you do it here, okay, you already set that. Okay, great. Cool. Because if you do it here, Mel, then you add the table, it's going to default it, right?
I'm not so sure.
I think so. I hope so. So just to recap for folks then, and I know Mel, sorry to jump in here like this, but so Mel has this really wonderful discovery today, which is that if you use the default mobile features in InfoPath, you get this view that looks just terrible. It doesn't have a lot of controls. So don't do that. Use the stock browser views, because guess what? Safari can see the browser, right? The Safari browser works just fine with SharePoint, InfoPath Forms services. And you can do this. We'll debug this button here that we just added in a second, but you can add these big buttons to make it easier to delete and insert new sections on your form if you've got fat fingers. And that's the quick summary, Mel. I just was trying to give you a little bit of time there to fix that plus sign. Did you fix it?
Yeah, I need to republish, though. Do you want me to republish?
No, we'll do that in the question and answer section. I know we got one more thing to touch upon, and then we'll do it when I'm answering questions, or if I'm answering questions in the Q&A section. We can have you do it then.
Okay, and let's move on to our third topic, form history. So you again want to keep track of your previous form versions, especially if you need to go back to especially for debugging purposes, like this form crashed, right? So what happened? What made this crash? Like so you want to see previous data, and I have it here. I have you see here under DBXL version. This is DBXL based. It submits data to DBXL, and it queries the previous versions using DBXL's web service. Down here, you're going to see a form history section that is hidden by default. You click on that to expand, and we got lots of previous versions. We try to open this version 6. It will switch me to that version of the form. Okay, and now one other cool feature is what you're viewing right now gets highlighted, so you don't get confused, and you know that your latest version is still at the bottom in case you want to edit that, right? Still, if you, for example, edit this, it will still be the latest version though, right? You just want to go back to previous version again to see what changed in the data. Keep track of the changes in the forms. Right. And we made that easier by creating an XTP for you. And I plan to include this in today's package. I hope Patrick don't mind. So this is the history XDP. Of course, you need DBXL to be able to use this. You can download a trial from the website. Comes with some instructions here. They're pretty straightforward. Yeah, you just add it on your form, and I actually added that in the default, the stock expense report. I have it down here. And I know we got the sample out there too, but you just haven't checked if it's up to date. Yeah, so that's that. That's been our demo.
Great, great. Now I just answered some of the questions, Mel, that people are having. This is a great time. If you've got questions on InfoPath, even if it wasn't related to our topics today, go ahead and give us your best shot, or give us your best curveball. We will try to hit the ball out of the park here for you. This is your time. If you've got things that are bugging you, you're developing your SharePoint site, you're using InfoPath because InfoPath is really easy to use. You don't need to be a developer. If you got questions for us, we are now ready to answer it. The lines are open. Please type in your questions in the questions section. We've already answered 4 questions. And Mel, while I'm doing this, why don't you go in and fix that button, please, so we can show them that works at the end. That'd be kind of a nice finish. But yeah, it's fine to send out this. We do have this thing called Q rules, which Mel was showing you. If you're doing custom buttons to do the insert and the remove, you can't do it unless you have code. So what we're going to do is send you a sample today that's injected with Q rules that will allow you to do it. And you can just use that to create your form. You can also, if you want to inject that logic into an existing form, you can go out to our website and download the free trial, and then you can use that to inject it in your form. We have thousands of people that use Q rules. It's a really nice common library for doing all the things that you want to do in InfoPath that would require code. And you don't want to write the code because you don't have a developer. You don't want to get Visual Studio. Also, you don't want to have to maintain that code because every single form is different, right? So we've developed this common library that allows you to inject in all your forms, have a common library. You don't have to code. You don't have to have Visual Studio. And it's really, really cheap. And we use the proceeds of Q rules to help us continue to answer all of your questions in the forum. So there's a nice reason for helping us there. So question from Alan here. How do you tell SharePoint to load the mobile view? Yeah, so Mel went over this quite quickly, and the solution is to create a page in SharePoint. So you're going to go in and you're going to create a web page in SharePoint, and you're going to put a link on it to that form in the mobile view, and you have to get the link to the browser form, and you put that in the page. And you saw that Mel has these really long links. Your links don't have to look that way. Your links can look just like plain links in SharePoint, right? You can even have a button as your image. They click on the button, and then it navigates to that web part. And Mel, maybe if we have time, we can show Alan that technique. Another question here from Mark, and that is, what is the best way to learn how to use Q rules? Great question, Mark. We've got resources on our website, a lot of resources, a lot of videos. If you go to Qdabra.com and you click on Tools, you'll see that Q rules is one of the options there. In fact, let me show you real quick here. I think we have Alyssa. Do you want to quickly take over control and show Mark where the Q rules resource center is? I think underneath the Qdabra.com Q rules site. I'm going to make you presenter here so you can do that. So Alyssa, if you could just quickly navigate
yeah, sure.
there. Thanks. And I know, Mel, we're going to come back to you in a second so you can show this this plus technique. So Mark, while Alyssa's jumping through and showing you that page with all the resources on it, also know that on InfoPathDev.com we have a download section, and there's literally over 50 documents on Q rules. We have 130 features in Q rules, tons of stuff in there, and the user guide, of course, if you've got installed, will list every single feature, but we also have blogs and how-tos that go through some of the top features and step-by-step show you how to solve world peace and solve world hunger at the same time, because that's what Q rules does. It really solves all your problems.
All right, so just starting from our home web page right here, we go down to Tools and Templates. If you go over to the left here, you'll see Q rules. can click on there, and we also have that free trial available right at the top there. You can download that. And here's the information, and you'll find different information here about how QRules works and different documentation to help you along the way. All right.
Thanks, Alyssa. Can you actually go to the InfoPath Dev site too and just click on downloads and show the QRules there too? And I'm going to talk while you're doing that because I think there's a couple more questions I want to answer. And Justin, sorry I answered your question too quickly here, but Justin's got a question. You talked about using one view with tabs in the past, but I seem to recall those demos had actually separate views, changing views. Yeah, you're right. So a couple years ago or a year ago even, we were still saying, look, use separate views for these tabs. But the problem with that is that when you change those views, it requires a lot of rework, and also it duplicates images and things like that. So nowadays, what we're telling people is don't do that. Just use the hide show technique that Mel displayed there. Final question here from Danny Ross. Do you have any in-person training scheduled? Yeah, actually, Alyssa's going to go over that. Alyssa, why don't we go over that right now, and I'm going to unmute you now so you can talk again. So can we just quickly switch to the training? I know we got training coming up in May. Do you want to quickly talk about that?
Yeah, certainly. Okay, so basically we offer two different types of training courses. We have our online course, and we also have our in-person training. In-person training is coming up May 14th through the 16th. And that will be held in Kirkland. And so basically we go to that slide about the training and talk about the different...
Just want to let people know, Kirkland is right next to Microsoft here, so if you come out to Kirkland to go to our training, we'll take you to Microsoft and you can meet the folks that work on InfoPath.
Yes, definitely. All right, and so just a little bit about the value you're getting with these courses. Not only are you getting that course content, the presentations, the hands-on labs, and the samples, but you'll also be getting a DBXL beginner license, and that's our web service. Also QRules as well, and we talked about that a little bit earlier. In the starter template and template parts, and then also an hour of post-class support. So it's a great value. You're not only getting that knowledge, but you're also getting different tools to help you along the way.
Thanks, Alyssa. That's great. And Mel, can you share out your screen one more time so we can show folks this that information, and then also show the resolution on the plus sign there, if you've got it. I'm not seeing your screen. Hopefully we still. There we go.
There we
Wonderful.
go.
Thanks, Mel. And there you can see the dates here on the online training in June. Definitely would love to have you folks. We are constantly modifying the training. We'll be talking about new topics, 2013 topics as well. But right now the training is for 2010. Any other questions? I guess one more question from King here. Thanks for guiding us. Mel, okay, thanks for that comment. Mel's doing a great job. Thank you for the final comment there. Mel, can you show, did you get that working, by the way? Can we end with a finale here?
Try to re-inject your rules and try this again. Let's see, it still doesn't work.
So when this happens with QRules, what you have to do is you have to add a debug section into your form to see why it's not. Usually it's a simple thing, and it's usually because you didn't configure the command correctly. You know, QRules is really powerful, but it does require a little bit of configuration. And you know, Mel's been doing this forever and a day, so it's just completely unacceptable, Mel, that she got this error. Just kidding. Helps insert the child. So anyway. We can debug this here, but it is easy to do. We do have a document on how to insert, and thanks, Brian, for that.
I think I know, Patrick.
Why's that?
You know, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
You know how we don't we shouldn't be adding like child fields underneath a repeating group, right? Because these guys are in the way, so I just need to move these guys up. And that's
that's the most common problem ever. You should know that already, because that happens all the time.
This is the default 2007 expense report. I didn't touch it. Now it's working.
That's because you added those extra fields. Show them in the browser. Show them in iPhone.
Yeah,
publish.
Yeah.
So even the masters, even the InfoPath masters like Mel, InfoPath's powerful. It's a sharp knife, and every once in a while you nick yourself a little bit, but you love it because you got to chop those tomatoes, chop those onions. You got to make your InfoPath course. Anyway, and thanks for joining us today. We're going to just show you that this does indeed work in the browser, in the iPhone browser here. And for those of you who are still on, you'll see that in a second. And for those other people, obviously we're going to be doing the video and posting it on YouTube with all the goodies. So if you fill out that survey at the end, the GoToMeeting survey, GoToWebinar survey, we will send you all the goodies, including the injected form with the fix here, so that it will insert the items in the expense form. Once again, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. We are still going to show this one last demo here, but if you have to drop off, thanks for coming. And Mel is going to show the mobile view now. You have to go into your special iPhone viewer there, Mel.
I believe this is VNC. You guys are wondering. Finally.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're across the Pacific. Those publishes take a while. Just gonna.
I need the link again. Just 1 second. It's still trying to update.
So don't forget, folks, don't use that mobile setting in InfoPath because it limits you in a big way. Make sure you're using the just normal browser support when you publish these forms so that you can use the iPhone. Obviously, when you're driving, you don't have a stylus handy. You need to drive with your knees. So for those fat-fingered folks who like to drive with one hand, we've talked about these 2 buttons that you can add to your form. They're just regular buttons with Q rules on them to help you, add sections and so forth. Did we solve world hunger, Mel? Are we there?
Because I moved the schema, that form is now broken. So just give me a second.
It didn't even warn you either, did it? Are you going to do a new form?
There you go. Yeah, I just need to figure out the link.
Don't you love demoing on the spot like this? It's just, it's live because there's issues, and that's how we prove to you that this stuff actually is doable because we have problems, and then we fix those, and then we show you this solution. So is it still rendering? Are we going to make it?
One sec, let me just grab the link to the new form, send it myself real quick. Okay, almost done.
So while Mel is re-rendering here on the iPhone across the Pacific, I just want to once again quickly recap the content today. We're talking about using hide show sections in one view as opposed to tabs with multiple views. Using tabs with hide show makes it easier for you to modify your form. You don't have to edit every view. That's the first takeaway. Second takeaway is if you're doing mobile, don't use the mobile default settings. Use the browser. Make your form look good. And you can get rid of the ribbon, make it look good if you're using the web part and all that. And this is what it looks like by default is you get those blue widgets. Of course, we want to allow people with fat fingers to quickly add things. So Mel's going to switch to the next view and hopefully it'll work. Click on that plus button, Mel, and
Yeah.
there it is. Looking like you don't even have the buttons there anymore. Oh, there it is. And you just clicked it. You're too fast. It's working. Hey, way to go. And then the last takeaway was the change history stuff. A couple ways to do that. Put the data in your form. That's useful if you're doing reporting. You got the data there. You can report on it. You can't report on version history if it's in SharePoint, but you can if you set that information in your form. The other technique is to use our web service and use links to the past versions. And if you're interested in that, we've got, I think we'll have some demos for you in the future on that. Thank you very much for joining us, and hope you have a wonderful day. Send us your questions. Don't forget the training. Thank you, Mel. It's an awesome job.
Thanks. Bye-bye.